to call the Board of Trustees regular meeting Monday, October 5th, 2020 at 6:30 to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of meeting agenda.
Mr. Supervisor, we have several changes
Go ahead,
in the
Madam
meeting
Clerk.
agenda. Under new business, item D is going to be the Coronavirus Relief Fund Subrecipient Agreement.
Any other additions?
Yes, item E will be a rezoning request that was approved by the Planning Commission. F is a zoning ordinance amendment for medical marijuana uses. G would be the zoning ordinance amendment for regulations pertaining to home occupations.
Regarding medical marijuana, right?
Yes, sir. And the last change that I am aware of would be item H, and it's a medical marijuana discussion with the township planner.
Any other additions or deletions?
No, sir.
I have none.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda with adding in D, E, F, G, and H as per the clerk. Support.
I have a motion by Trustee Gurley, supported by Treasurer Arnold. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of minutes, 9/8/2020, 9/14/2020, 9/15/2020.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented for the dates of 9/8/2020, 9/14/2020, and 9/15/2020.
Second.
I have a motion by Clerk Candell, supported by Trustee Clifford. Once again, any discussion? Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Public announcements. Any public announcements at this time? Any public comment at this time? Oh, yes, ma'am, please. Up to the podium.
Hi, I'm just representing the
Could you
seniors.
pull the microphone down, please, ma'am?
Thank you.
I'd like to represent the seniors that exercise here in Lenox. And on behalf of them, I'm asking why it's not possible for us to come inside now. We've been exercising outside, and up until this past Wednesday, and it's gotten pretty cold. But exercise is good for the body, and the social gatherings are good for the mind. And seniors need both of these things. And you have plenty of room here for 10 to 12, 15 people to come and exercise. There are more people here today than what we would have. So why isn't it possible for us to come and exercise inside? That's my comment.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Mr. Supervisor, could we get her name and address for the record, please?
Ma'am, please, could I have your name and address for the record?
I'm sorry,
Your name and address for the record, please?
I put my name and I didn't put the numbers down, the 31 Mile Road in Lenox.
Thank you. Mr. White, would you like to speak to that real quick under comment? Mr. White is our Public Safety Director and our Health Director. Thank you, sir.
It wasn't an agenda item, so I didn't come prepared with specific data and fact, but I can give you just some basic overview of the current situation here in Michigan. All this can be pretty much confirmed by just some fairly easy searches on any internet search engine, so I'm not going to tell many of you things that you don't already know. At the EMS and in public health and safety, we continue to look at benchmark issues with regard to the coronavirus here in Michigan, and specifically here in Southeast Michigan. What I can tell you is today, the 7-day averages of cases in the state of Michigan and Macomb County continue to rise. 7-day averages a week ago in the state of Michigan were in the upper 600 levels on the 7-day rolling average. Today they're up in the upper 800 levels in the rolling averages. Hospitalizations have increased by about 100 cases statewide. There has been a slight increase noted in the percentage of positivity. That's the percentage of people that end up with positive tests versus negative tests. When diagnostic testing is done, that's the swab test that goes in the person's nose. The numbers have been down a little closer to 3% of positivity. We're inching back up towards the 3.5% range now. There is a slight increase in deaths. About a week ago, the average daily death on the 7-day rolling average was at about 9. Today that number is about 11. Know that deaths lag behind actual cases. Somebody doesn't reach out and touch you with COVID and you die. You contract COVID, you normally don't even know you're symptomatic for a number of days. The symptoms then come on 4 to 5 days later. You then have a course of infection that lasts a week to 14 days. Towards the end of that time period, those that become very, very ill end up hospitalized in intensive care units and pass. So that's why they always say that death is a lagging indicator to COVID-19. In my opinion, science and our community's health and safety simply does not support reopening for senior activities at this time based on these statistics and these numbers. Having said that, I think it's worthwhile to continue to evaluate this on a month-by-month basis. There is nobody more than me that would like to see our senior centers be able to open, but if we cannot do so safely, there's no way that I could afford that in a recommendation. I can tell you that I did check, because other communities have asked similar questions about seniors returning specifically. And so I did reach out to some of our neighboring communities to get their input with regards to what they were doing locally with regards to senior program. The Ray Township Supervisor indicated that they were allowing their seniors to return to cards and some bingo with 15 or less people in mid-October based on the governor's executive order for October the 9th that would have allowed that to occur. I spoke with the City of Richmond, who is not returning at this point to any specific senior activities. but they were going to reevaluate things mid-month with possible returns in late November, late October or early November, depending on the direction that the statistics are going for COVID cases. They were not intending to permit any type of exercise activity. Ray also was not intending to permit any type of exercise activity now or into the near future. In Chesterfield, through October, they're only allowing continued outdoor activities and will reevaluate small group activities for November. They talked specifically about groups of people that do wood carving and I think or quilting types of things, where there were 10 or 15 people that might be coming indoors. They were not going to allow bingo or cards. They thought that involved too much conversation. And they were not going to allow any type of exercise activity now or into the near future. No one was permitting any food activities within their center now or into the near future. Richmond Township was afforded the same recommendation earlier this evening, and it's my understanding that they too will not be opening their senior center in any fashion in October, and continuing a monthly evaluation, or to monthly evaluate the numbers that are put out by the Department of Public Health in both the state and the county before making further decisions.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Number 7, consent agenda. All items listed under this consent agenda are considered routine by the Township Board and will be enacted by one motion. According to established Township meeting rules, there will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the Board or public so requests at or prior to the meeting, in which event the chair of the meeting may remove such items from the consent agenda for discussion and consideration under agenda item number 8 below. Approval of the consent agenda should be by a majority roll call vote of those present and voting.
I'd like to present to the board bills and invoices totaling, one second here, $325,047.55.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda with bills and invoices totaling $325,000 for $47.55.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Trustee Clifford, supported by Treasurer Honnold. Once again, any questions or discussion regarding this? Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Clifford?
Aye.
Connell?
Aye.
Trombley?
Aye.
Gurley?
Aye.
Kendall?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Number 8, no items have been removed from the consent agenda. Number 9, there is no unfinished business. Number 10, new business. Park expansion structure asbestos abatement proposal. Mr. Casson. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. As you know, the building that we're on our property now that we're looking to demolish, we found out had asbestos. We properly went and had an asbestos test made. It came back with not a lot, but a significant amount of asbestos. And our job is to have it safely removed by a company that meets the federal and state standards. I approached 3 different companies on getting a bid from them. 2 responded. 1 had requested information, and one did not respond. The second one requested information, but still didn't provide a bid. And the third one requested information and provided the bid. This is a company called MWV or MVW. It is a minority, woman-owned veteran company. I have personally done work in them with other communities I've worked in. They are very good, and they came in with a very reasonable price of $3,700, I believe $50.
This is your recommendation, sir?
I'm recommending that we award the bid for them.
Any questions from Mr. Castle?
Yeah, Steve, have they all looked at the building? Have they all went through it?
They've received the entire report and pictures from the testing engineer.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the asbestos removal of the park building to Minority Women Veteran MWV Environmental Services in the amount of $3,375. Support.
What was that total? Excuse me. Go ahead.
$3,375.
Thank you.
I have a motion by Clerk Candell, supported by Treasurer Arnold. Once again, any discussion? Questions? Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Campbell.
Aye.
Arnold.
Aye.
Gurley.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Trombley.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Letter B, COVID CARES Act reimbursement request.
Everyone should have received a spreadsheet for COVID CARES invoices. I just want to quickly say that all but item 13 have been taken care of. And that item, I believe we may need to wait until we can get some further information from our legal team as to whether or not that is something that we should or should not pursue. So it's just, I guess this is really just a matter of information, just so you're aware of what we are requesting for the COVID monies.
Are you requesting tabling at this time until?
I would request that we table it until we get information. It may require a special meeting at some point later in the month because this information does have to be taken care of by the end of the month. So yes, I would request tabling it for further information.
Sean, are you guys looking into it? Excuse me, Ron.
That's your motion?
Yes, sir?
Sean, are you guys looking into that or?
We are, correct.
Okay. I second your motion then.
You got a second here. I have a motion by Clerk Candell, supported by Treasurer Arnold. Now any discussion?
No, I'm sorry.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes as a table. Letter C, Board of Trustees November meeting date modification request. Madam Clerk?
Yes, I am asking for the board to consider changing the date of the November meeting, possibly to the week before. The meeting was scheduled for November 2nd, which is the evening before the election. And we are just like at 2,200 absentee ballots in our office right now. So we're having a little bit of a difficult time keeping up at this point. So I would request that the board, if you see it, either the 29th or the 30th, which is a Thursday or a Friday.
If we're going
Pleasure.
to do it, I prefer the Thursday.
Same here. I'm good for Thursday.
Thursday?
Is that after Thanksgiving?
Would it still be
Yeah, it's
at
fine.
4? Would it be at? It would be October 29th. It would be the week before the scheduled meeting.
Okay.
Would it be at 4 or 6:30?
Whatever you would prefer. I don't have a preference.
I'm good on the 29th.
4 or 6:30?
I would say 4 o'clock, while we have all the employees here, we don't have to schedule something separate then. If that makes sense to you guys.
I can't hear you, bro. What's that?
I would recommend 4 o'clock, while we have some of our employees that need to be here, so we don't have to pay them over.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Can you make it, Michelle?
Yeah. I'm good for 4.
That being the case, I would recommend that we reschedule November's Board of Trustees meeting to Thursday, October 29th at 4 p.m.
I'll support.
I have a motion by Clerk Candell, supported by Treasurer Arnold. Once again, any questions, discussion? Clerk, roll call, please.
Kendall,
Aye.
Connell,
Aye.
Trombley,
Aye.
Gurley, Clifford.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Letter D, coronavirus funds agreement. Madam Clerk, can you give this one, please, or
I
Mr.
think
White?
Mr. White has it.
Mr. White again.
So this agreement was sent late last week. I want to say Thursday or Friday is when we received it. And basically it's called a subrecipient agreement. And it basically means you're signing off to certain conditions with regards to the expenditure of the CARES Act funds that we received, the amount of about $104,000 from Macomb County. It struck me as I was sitting there and listening to the board deliberate on the issue with regards to the use of some of those final CARES Act funds, that if the board is looking at those last few items, there might be value in putting this item on that next meeting agenda. Not the end of the very end of the month, a special meeting we'll need to hold in order to make those determinations and give legal an opportunity to take a look at the agreement. It may help them in their decision as they move forward on their recommendation. So at this point in time, we're going to recommend we table it with the following caveat. The board really, given everybody's workload, and especially that of the clerk's office currently with the upcoming elections, I think we really need to talk in the next day or two about a special meeting within the next 10 days or so in order to make this final decision, so that we have ample time to make application to the final application to the county, and or if there's something on that list that legal thinks we should reconsider, we're going to have to figure out how to spend it or return it. So I don't want to push I don't want to push all the way to that 29th meeting we just set, and then the next day is a Friday. It leaves us no time to to make these decisions. So I hope the board would just, like I say, move that along to a meeting, in the next week or two to finalize it. So with that, I'm just recommending tabling for now.
I'll make a motion that we table the coronavirus relief fund subrecipient agreement for Mr. White's recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Clerk Candell, supported by Trustee Gurley. Any questions? Discussion?
I have one.
Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Kendall,
Aye.
Gurley, Connell,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Trombley.
Aye. Motion tabled. Thank you. Letter E, zoning request planning commission. Mr. Casson.
This request is for 4.67 acres of land. It's on the west side of Gratiot, just south of 28 Mile Road. The request is for the frontage of the property to be rezoned to commercial general and the rear to be rezoned to industrial restricted. The request is consistent with the master plan. The Planning Commission held a public hearing a week or so back and unanimously recommends approval to the board.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from Mr. Casson?
Make a motion that we approve the rezoning request at 1906 2300 011 Logic Crops LLC, Denise Woods, located at 61551 Gratiot, from agricultural to commercial general and industrial restricted as approved by the Planning Commission and recommended by Mr. Casson.
Second.
I have a motion by Clerk Candell, supported by Trustee Clifford. Any other discussion?
No, I flew pretty good at the planning commission level. There wasn't.
Questions? Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Kendall,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Gurley, Trombley,
Aye.
Connell.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Might as well stay right there. Letter F, zoning ordinance amendment.
Okay, I'm not certain which one's first on your list. Is it 337 or 329?
337.
337?
Yes.
Thank you. To give you some background, this is regarding caregivers. Caregivers are those that are allowed to grow for themselves and 5 additional patients, up to 72 plants. Up until a recent court case, a Supreme Court decision, communities were not allowed to regulate caregivers through zoning. There was a case in Byron Township that now allows townships to do that. And our attorney, Mr. Kelly, prepared language that allows us to regulate caregivers as a home occupation. Section 337 deals with the definition of a caregiver and all that. So we're asking that that be approved. The Planning Commission recommends approval of that also.
Any questions? You want motions on these both separately, correct, sir?
Yes, sir. Make a motion that we approve the zoning ordinance amendment to section 337 for medical marijuana uses.
Second.
I have a motion by Clerk Handel, supported by Trustee Clifford. Once again, any questions, discussion? Madam Clerk, Deputy Clerk, I'm sorry, please.
Kendall,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Gurley,
Aye.
Trombley,
Aye.
Connell.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next one.
This is section 329. It's similar in scope, but this actually deals with home occupation and some of the conditions of regulating the facilities. And again, the Planning Commission recommends approval.
Make a motion that we approve the zoning ordinance amendment, section 329, regulations pertaining to home occupations per the Planning Commission approval and the planner's recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Clerk Handel, supported by Treasurer Arnold. Once again, any questions or discussion? Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Kendall,
Aye.
Connell,
Aye.
Trombley,
Aye.
Gurley, Clifford.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Letter G. Zoning regulation for home occupation regarding medical marijuana.
I think we just did that one, I'm sorry.
Is that covered under that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're on H.
Letter H, medical discussion with planner.
As you guys, as the board knows, we've had 2 rounds of medical marijuana licensing applications over the last couple of years. For a total, I believe, 14 to 15 different entities that received licenses. At this time, as you're also aware, we have no applicants, no buildings that have developed. Several of the reasons for that are some applicants have come in and were purely speculating, looking to get approval and sell their licenses. Others, for various reasons, have not completed the project or not even attempted to start the project in a timely manner. Others are still in the process. The first round, just about everyone has expired. The second round that was just approved last January will be expiring, unless they get development in the ground, will be expiring by this January, unless they get a 6-month extension. What has occurred to us, the clerk's office and myself, is that we've been spending a lot of time reviewing applications for people that really aren't ready to develop. They just think, oh, we'll throw in an application, add some money, and we'll get this license, and then we'll start backtracking and getting all the information. So I'm suggesting, recommending to the township board that we come up with an application that basically allows somebody to apply for a medical marijuana facilities license, but has all their, so to say, ducks in a row. They have architectural prepared drawings, they're ready to go through site plan approval, they have various, all their environmental assessments done, they have the property tied up in that. I'd like to make that we change.
Ready to submit.
Yeah. What, I'm sorry?
Totally ready to submit.
Totally ready to submit. But another caveat then, we would open up the application so that we wouldn't require a certain time of the year. If somebody comes in and meets our criteria and totally ready to submit, has invested time and money, owns the property, at least has the rights to the property, can show us development plans, we'll accept the application. I'm asking that you allow me and the clerk's office to proceed in developing that.
Well, the other way, we were collecting money that they never get refunded, right?
It's actually a waste of their money, yeah.
Yeah, and but you guys have made you a lot of work, I do know that.
There's been a lot of work done on things that just never happened.
Yeah, because they weren't ready.
They weren't ready.
This process will require the licensing ordinance to be amended, so we are asking that we approve it under the recommendation that it starts when the planner and the clerk's office have determined that they have everything in order to do that.
Yeah, but you still never have certain, there's no way you can verify their financing, is there?
No, but they have to spend a lot of money to get up front to develop a plan, so I would hope. And they have to be approved by the state.
Right, I do.
Right.
Almost everybody has been, right? That we've had?
No, there were several that did not get approval from the state. That's why they fall through the wayside.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Casson? Clerk Mandel?
Thank you guys for doing all that work, by the way.
So actually, we're hoping for a recommendation, or a motion that you'd allow us to start the process.
Well, we need a motion to amend the ordinance, right?
At this time, allow us to proceed with developing the application and the amendments for your review.
Okay.
I make a motion to allow the planner and the clerk to proceed with developing an application for medical marijuana and
How would you like to?
redoing the
I'm going to check the
ordinance.
language on that for you.
Okay.
Do you have a specific language you like on that, Madam Clerk?
No, sir, I don't have, I'm sorry, I don't have what the attorney suggested, that we just approve the planner and the clerk to do the changes and recommend a date to recommend the commencement date at a later date to the board.
Is that what you wanted, Treasurer?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify it for you. Okay. Do I have support for that motion?
Yep, I second.
So I have a motion by Treasurer Honnold, supported by Trustee Gurley. Can you read that motion back one more time just for clarification purposes, Madam Clerk, please? I just want to make sure it's clear on the record.
It is, the board approves the clerk's office and the planner to proceed with new guidelines for medical marijuana applications, including zoning ordinance and licensing ordinance amendments.
Thank you, ma'am.
May I add one thing?
Yes, sir.
With the intent that when that is completed, the township will go to a submittal process as needed by the developer. Or in other words, we won't have a timeline to submit it. So a rolling application process is probably better.
That's included in your motion, Treasurer Honnold?
And there'll be no time limit on it?
No, we no longer have that 3 weeks at the beginning of the year. If somebody comes in and is totally ready, we'll accept their application.
Okay.
Okay, so that motion is made once again by Treasurer Honnold, supported by Trustee Gurley. Any other questions or discussion regarding that motion? Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
I thought you said that it was Kathy and Scott Clifford.
I'm sorry, Kate.
No, it was me.
Okay.
I have the Treasurer and Trustee Gurley as support.
Okay, Kathy Hano,
Aye.
Michelle Gurley,
Aye.
Trombley,
Aye.
Kendall,
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Number 11, public comment. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Janet Hartwig. I was going over the bills, and I know I'm not supposed to ask a question, so I'll answer a question. No, item number 54, in my head, said, why would our supervisor need a GoPro camera at $564.24? But I'm not asking you that. That was in my head. That's my public comment.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Did you move your mask for a second?
My public comment is, to myself, why would our supervisor need a GoPro camera at $564.24?
I will answer that question from call from the board. Absolutely. Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
A little creaky, excuse the getting up.
No problem, sir.
Is it okay if I lift this down to talk?
Sure.
Okay. I am one of the investors, hopefully, for the medical marijuana. And I wanted to point out something to the group, that everything from my standpoint was in place until COVID hit. And then money dried up and people got panicky and a lot of things happened that slowed us down. We're not stopping in any way, form, or shape. But a couple things that were said that I thought might want to be considered is when we do this and we go into this, and I'm one of them that did, there's not a list of things that are actually required by the Planning Commission. It's that you have to put together and go figure out what you want to present to them and what plans and what engineering and what civil engineering and what water engineering. That it might be of some value to have that when you give out this list of what exactly is required to take to the Planning Commission, so that anybody going there would have an idea that they have to fulfill all of those needs just to get considered. And then the other thing is there are 15 or 16 different people who are approved, and some of them are a couple years old. Mine is in that 1 year period. And I think it's a very valuable thing for us to have that opportunity. And you are right who said about the state of Michigan. It's very difficult to get through the state of Michigan. And you have to have a lot of funding. You have to show them, almost no parking tickets going back 200 years. But it is a privilege to be able to come into this community, and that's how I see it. When I purchased the building and the property, it was with the knowledge that it was a privilege, and I still feel that way. But being a small businessman and not, P. Lorillard or one of the Bear companies, I'm just a small businessman who went through some terrible crisis in my own family with my grandson and cancer, and was very helpful in it. So I'd like that to be considered, that us that are there, that are now investing in it, coming out of COVID, hopefully, thank God, hopefully, to have a little more time to put ourselves together in a way that meets all the requirements of Lenox and all the Planning Commission, and of course the board. So I'm very serious about what I'm doing. I have a lot invested into this at this point. I intend to go all the way for it. The only place I'm looking at, I'm not looking at Chesterfield or Clinton Township, only Lenox. And that's where I intend to do my business if possible. So if that can be considered, or some of us discussed with, for the fairness of doing it correctly the first time, because I understand that. Once I got into this and I saw how complicated it is to put together the proper identification of what needs to be done by the civil engineers and the mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers, and the architects, and the right type of surveying. It is for people who don't do it on a regular basis, it is a challenge. But it's a challenge that I enjoy, and I'm looking forward to meeting for you. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other call from the board? Public comment. At this time, I'll take call from the board. If anybody would like to address. I have items I'd like to address. First, sir, I'd like to address your statement. As you remember, as you recall, the board was always proactive in everything we did with this and trying to disperse as much information as we could to everybody that came in. On the other hand, we were getting pushed daily by every applicant, and every applicant was saying, you give us the word, we'll have the shovel in the ground the very next day. And we heard that hundreds of times from individuals, yourself included, up here multiple times, that you were ready to go, and we were going as quick as we can in a timely manner, trying to make sure everybody had as much information as possible. But nobody wanted to listen at that point. They all wanted to just get a shovel in the ground, they said. We were very proactive. Our resources are available to anybody here at any time. Mr. Safe, Mr. Casson are always available to answer any questions. We'll be happy to help you through the process. But I just want to revisit that everybody was pushing us every single day to go fast. And we did it in a timely manner. This was new ground we were breaking, and we knew exactly what we were doing. We were proceeding with caution so no mistakes were made. So I want to address your question to that. On the secondary question of the GoPro, that was purchased with COVID money that we received because of what has taken place with COVID and code enforcement. We're not going to be exiting the vehicle as much on certain things and interacting with certain people. We have a huge problem with trash that is being expelled from canisters on Gratiot. When we get on Gratiot with the car, we have a way to fill them now. That was purchased with COVID money, purchased up front by me, reimbursed after the fact. Was directed by the board to do so. That's what that's for. It'll mount on the dash of the code enforcement car and film certain scenarios dealing with code enforcement.
Thank you.
So it's a way for us, if we have to go to court, we can take video information to the judge and physically show him. Because so many times also too, it's very helpful to get the numbers off the truck, to actually film what's happening. We've had scenarios where me and Mr. Casson, a mile down the road, spewing garbage. We want to be able to document that, make those people responsible for their actions, make those companies responsible for what they're doing when they litter in our corridor. So that's why that was done. So, also, it was funds that we had to think of the best use for. If we do not use it, we lose it. So we had to make sure what the expenditure was for, it was going to be of use and not just sit there and go to waste. So, any other questions regarding that? Thank you. Any other call from the board? Okay. Number 13, closed session.
I make a motion that we go into closed session at 7:14 for the purpose of discussing engagement of appraiser for potential real estate purchases.
Second.
I have a motion by Clerk Kendall, supported by Treasurer Arnold. Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Kendall?
Aye.
Connell?
Aye.
Clifford?
Aye.
Trombley?
Aye.
Hurley? Aye.
Motion passes. Closed session at 7:14.
I'd like to make a motion that we enter back into open session at 7:26.
Second.
I have a motion by Trustee Gurley, supported by Clerk Kendall. Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Hurley?
Aye.
Kendall? Aye. Connell?
Aye.
Trombley?
Aye.
Clifford?
Aye.
Meeting is open at 7:26.
Thanks, Ken.
Mr. Supervisor, I would like to make a motion that we hire an appraiser for the purpose of appraising potential real estate purchase.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Clerk Kendall, supported by Trustee Gurley. Any other questions or discussion? Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Kendall?
Aye.
Hurley?
Aye.
Trombley,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Connell.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next one, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn at 7:28.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Gurley, supported by trustee Clifford. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.